All right, so we're about to go ahead and do a spoiler-filled review of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. So we just got out of the theater a little bit ago. This is Amanda, by the way. We're gonna be switching positions, but this is gonna be a bit of a long video. So you might want to sit back and relax because it's gonna be unedited. Okay, I might add in some pictures, but there's gonna be no edits. Okay, we're just gonna do it. So anyway, hold on, let me bring up the cast. Excuse me. Alright, so we just got out of the theater. This is my third time seeing the film. This is her first time seeing the film. And I love this film. Like, for me, like, right off the bat, I think it's the best Spider-Man film that there's ever been so far. Animated or not. I think it's a 10 out of 10. I think it's one of the year's best films. It's weird too because I had really low expectations going into this film. Like I'd heard all the rave reviews. It's one of the best reviewed films of the year. I heard of all the rave reviews and like I think it held like 100% on Rotten Tomatoes for like 2 weeks straight or some shit. But I don't know. I just was sort of unfazed by it. There was something about the trailers that made the film seem sort of silly and cheesy and kind of cringy. But when I watched the film, like I had none of that actually, and it kind of blew my mind. But yeah, what are your quick thoughts?
I liked
quick
it a
summary.
lot.
Yeah.
I went into it thinking it was going to be decent, but it was like really good.
Mhm.
Yeah, I liked pretty much everything about it, actually. It's all good.
It's all good?
It's all good.
Okay.
Maybe the only thing that I had issues with is that he got, like, full control of his powers just, like, instantly.
Which one?
In that one part.
Which one? Miles?
Yeah.
Which part?
Like, he didn't have any control, and then his dad was all like, I love you, Miles. And he was stuck in the chair, and then instantly he had all the control. And he was just like a fully formed spider.
I mean, to be fair, he had gone about fucking 2 hours into the film without having full range of his powers.
Well, I know, but that's my only issue. Is that he should have kind of gradually, like, sort of gained the ability instead of been, like, no ability whatsoever.
But he did, though.
Boom, total.
That was, from that point on, when he left the chair,
he had
to the end
ability.
credits, yeah. But, again, I mean,
he went
this
from
was
not
like...
being able to control it at all to being able to fully control every aspect of his abilities.
I mean, after, like, going through the... again, like, you know, we're, like, 2 hours deep into the movie.
Yeah, but during those first 2 hours, they could have gradually, like, given him some... It could have gone, like, in a graded scale instead of going from 0 to 100 instantly. It could have been like, oh, now he's at 25, now he's at 50. Oh, he's hit a wall. Oh, now he's at 100. But instead it was just like 0, 100.
I didn't really see it that way at all. I thought... I thought what you were hoping for, they did.
No.
Bizarrely.
No.
So I don't know. I didn't see it that way. I mean, when would you want him to get his full powers, in the second movie?
No, he can get his full powers when he did.
Control.
I just would have liked to see like him kind of moving up to that instead of having no ability and then the next second having all the ability. Because he goes from not being able to do basically anything. Like, okay, web slinging, right? He does learn. You see him, like, getting the hang of it. But, like, with the electrical ability and the invisible ability, you see him using them, but it's totally on accident with no control whatsoever.
Right.
And then in the next minute, after he has his revelation, he can suddenly do 100% of everything. Whenever he wants.
We are not going to see eye to eye on this issue, but I mean, I guess my quick thoughts on it, I don't...
It does not bother me that much. It was just the singular thing that even vaguely bugged me.
That's very bizarre to me. I mean, to me, not only did he receive, he got bit by a spider like very, very early on, and he spent like literally most of the movie pretty consistently trying to get the visible powers or like the electrical powers to work when he wanted them to, and he
trying,
failed.
But he couldn't at all.
Correct.
Instead of being like, sometimes he can when he wants to, sometimes he can't, like in the middle. Like he goes from not being able to do it at all when he wants to being able to do it all the time when he wants to with no problems perfectly. And it like as a switch at that one part. Okay. Instead of like not being able to do any of it at all ever, being able to do it sometimes when you want to, and then being able to do it all the time when you want to. There was no gradient. It was just he hit that moment and all of a sudden he could do it all, and he was a spider ninja. And
in fairness, he was put in a pretty unique situation to fully tap into it, in my opinion. But I don't know. I didn't interpret it that way. To me, it felt like an unusually slow process for him to finally get into the full swing of things.
Well,
for me personally,
it took a long time. But
that thought never really entered my mind.
It took a long time, but it was still from 0 to 100 in terms of control.
I didn't see it that way.
Whereas they could have made it they could have taken the same amount of time and given it a gradient, and it would have been more like believable, I guess.
I didn't see it that way at all. I felt it was a very appropriate time for it to happen. I didn't see anything wrong with this.
No, I think it was an appropriate time too.
Yeah.
It's just
I didn't have any problem with the execution or the timing.
Yeah, I didn't.
I didn't have any issues with it, to be honest.
But like I said, I didn't it's not a huge issue.
Yeah.
Like it was, it's the literal only thing that even remotely came close to bugging me.
I don't know. What do you guys think? I don't know. If you agree with it, let me know, because I don't know. I didn't see that at all. I don't even know if I don't have any substantial flaws with the film whatsoever. I really don't even have any real nitpicks.
Oh, that's what it is.
Not particularly.
It's a nitpick. That's what it would be for me.
This is my third time seeing it, and this time I saw it in 3D, which it was amazing in 3D, but I feel like I'd have to really stretch to find even like a nitpick. It's pretty airtight, I
have one other nitpick.
The narrative. Well, before we get into nitpicks, because this is a very loved film, I don't want people to want to murder you, but if
it's a nitpick, it's not an issue.
As Spider-Man fans, I really don't know. I'd have to really, really like stretch. The only real nitpick I could maybe think is like the Spider Ham, the Spider Pig. I wish he had more of a. Like in Infinity War, like each character gets like a sizable spotlight, if you will. Everybody sort of gets their moment. I wish Spider-Pig had more of a moment, I guess, but that's like an extreme. I'm like scraping the bottom of the barrel here. Outside of that, maybe someone can make an argument that Kingpin and the Dr. Octavius are sort of thin characters, but to be fair, for God's sakes, they were handling like 5-6 origin stories, like almost simultaneously in some aspects. So I really didn't mind that our backstory with the villains were sort of quick.
I think they
that didn't bother me at all.
A reasonable job with Kingpins. Like, we didn't get a lot, but we got enough to know exactly where he's coming from, and
well, also like the pace. Everything. The pace of the movie is very. It's a very quick pace. It's very fast paced. It's kind of like the Lego Movie, where it's just like constantly going, so we have a narrative moving at that kind of speed. Something like this seems like I could just overlook it especially since Kingpin was so dope. Like I loved how abstract his visual, like he was so exaggerative in his physical form.
He was really too big to ride the subway. Like at the end, there's that scene where he's chasing his family from the other dimension, and they're in the subway car, floating through time, space.
Yeah.
And he's too big. He can't get in the subway car.
He's so massive.
How did he get anywhere? No wonder he's always so cranky.
But I loved him. Liev Schreiber is Kingpin. Didn't know that, but I loved his character. Like I loved, I thought his first opening lines of dialogue were really clever because he's, mockingly singing along to the Spider-Man theme, which I thought was really clever. For our first moments with him, and then there was some moment where he's like clicking the pen, and then we see like a flashback sequence, and we find out what happened to his his wife and his son. That was actually like a surprisingly dark moment, because like up until like his wife and daughter, or his wife and his son were driving away, I was like this is a good flashback, but I feel like it could have... And then out of nowhere, like, they're just, like, struck by that car and murdered, you know what I'm saying? I was like, good lord. I thought that was a surprisingly nice, dark touch to the Kingpin character.
Yeah, it added the depth that, like, if they hadn't added that, he would have been a completely...
Yeah. But I guess...
like you said, flat character.
Yeah.
But with that...
Well, I guess what I'm saying is...
It gave him...
I was fine with that. Like, that's all I needed. I really didn't
me
need...
too. And that's what I'm saying. Like, without that, he would have been, like, a flat...
Well, because some people are probably going to make the argument that, they're underdeveloped characters. And it's like, did we really need that much?
I think that's all we needed for him. And as for,
Dr. Octavius, right? Liv, right?
She's into science. She wants to do her science. The
collider. She built the collider.
That was her deal. She wanted to use the collider and keep making it.
And then Kingpin wanted to use her to sort of bring his wife and son back, which I thought was a very clever, emotive, villainous friendship.
And I was thinking about it. My nitpick was gonna be is that Kingpin should have realized that his family would die if he brought them back. But then as I was, thinking about it, Octavius probably just didn't tell him because she's using him to make the collider. Oh, and if he knows that,
probably,
then she can't keep making the collider. So she didn't tell him. She didn't tell him that the alternate versions would die if they were in the reality too long. Because she knows, because she was telling Spider-Man how she's going to enjoy watching him die. Yeah. And then Kingpin doesn't appear to know. So she was keeping it from him just so she could keep doing her science. They flesh her out too, but you have to pay attention.
Yeah, it's nuanced, I suppose. Dr. I thought her reveal, because when I went to see this film, I really didn't know fuck all, and I had really low expectations, and I was just blown away. So the Dr. Octavius little twist, she's just some scientist. Oh no, she's Dr. Octavius. I thought that was really cool because Dr. Octopus was always one of my favorite villains, just in general from any comic book. I thought her and Kingpin were really dope characters, really well executed. The beginning of the film really even from the opening, I guess, minutes where we're seeing the opening title cards, and there's just music playing, and it's really dark and ominous, and just even then, and you're seeing the regular, I guess, title cards or logos glitching and becoming comic book like, and then not back and forth. I thought that was dope. The animation is... Well, I've never seen animation like this before, where it looks clearly it's CGI, but it looks drawn. And I have a theory. I want to ask you about the frame rate, because it's been bugging a lot of people, because the movie's got this spittery, sputtery, weird frame rate to it. And the first 2 times I saw it, I was I don't have an issue with it, but I don't know what the fuck to make of it. I don't know what they're doing. Did they shoot in 24 frames? What's happening here? Why isn't it just buttery smooth, what's happening now? But my theory is that when you look at I think it's called flip page art. I don't know if you have a book or some shit, but it's just essentially where you draw images on each and every single page, and then when you kind of run your fingers through the pages, and the pages flutter by so quickly that it looks like what you drew is coming to life. I almost wonder, I have a theory, and I haven't researched this at all, so I have no idea. So if I'm wrong, excuse me. But it does kind of seem like, what if the frame rate is so weird like that because it's meant to feel like a comic book that's been like, the pages are flipping fast enough that it looks like the characters are moving. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's possible, like, if I wanted that effect, and I don't know anything about animation, but that almost sounds like you could animate it like people animate, because that's how they used to do it back in the day. They'd do a single shot for each thing, almost like claymation, and then they'd run it through really fast, and it would make an animation. Whereas nowadays, they just use the digital medium to do whatever they want. They could have done that, like the digital form, where it's more like recording a movie versus doing the flip book. And then they could have maybe broke it down into still images using a program and then flip booked it or something like that. But I don't know. I'm not up on frame rate and stuff.
Yeah,
not very into the technical aspects.
I don't know either. I think it's called, I think it's like flip page animation, something like that. But yeah, that's kind of what it looked like to me, though. That's what it looked like they were going for. That's what they were going for. It worked, for sure. Because that's what it felt like. That's just my...
I'm just wondering how they did it, how they got that effect.
I don't know how they filmed anything. Like, another thing that's astounding about the movie is that it's filmed like a normal movie. You know? Like, it's filmed no differently than, like, the Coen brothers would film a movie, or, like, Scorsese would film a movie. It just so happens to look like this extraordinary animated film. It's almost as if, like, they took, like, the real actors and put them on, like, the biggest green screen set they've ever seen, and had them do their thing in, like, a mocap suit, and then they translate that all into animation. That's what it looks like, because a lot of the way that they, just like certain camera angles, or the way that they, for example, when Miles is doing whatever the hell he's doing, I think he was looking for the spider, right? It was dead. Which, for the record, when he found that dead spider, and I think he, like, touched it or something, and there was, like, a jump scare moment, I almost pissed my pants. And I'm not easy to, like, make jump, but I wasn't expecting, like, a jump scare in Spider-Man movies, so they scared me.
Now that you say that, I have a question.
Yeah.
So when he touched it, it glitched like the people from the other dimensions glitch?
Yeah.
Do you think the spider was from a different dimension and came through the collider and like
I think it was, because when he's with his Uncle Aaron, right, and they're spray painting, when the spider's first coming down, it subtly glitches.
Yeah.
It looked like it was marked too, like it was numbered. I could be wrong.
It was. I think it was number 42, and I think it said the same company. What's their Alchemist? It's like a play on Alchemist.
I forget, Alka something Labs. Yeah. I forgot what it was.
I think that was on it. Like, I think it was like a code number. Like, it was a specimen from that lab.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like it's from a different dimension. Like, from that lab in a different dimension.
Yeah, I think it was definitely some kind of spider from another dimension. But I loved when he got bit, you know? Because when the spider bit him, there's this cool, like, comic booky montage where you saw the bite, but, like, in different instances. So, like, one close-up, one just, like, looking at the spider's eyes. Like, it was cool. It's just, like...
And it, like, showed the venom going into his body and branching off.
That's another thing.
And then he wasn't, like, it zoomed out, and he was just like, ugh.
Yeah. That's another thing where, like, there are chapter breaks. And each chapter break was, like, an issue of a comic book. So, like, the first, I don't know, like, the first, like, 8 minutes is technically part of, like, one issue. Yeah. Or, like, you know, like, 30 minutes into, like, 38 minutes to 45 minutes is technically, like, an issue, maybe. You know what I mean? Like, there's, like, actual issues, like, chapter breaks in the film, which I'm...
Like, every scene break for, like, content-wise.
And when they do, like, intros It's like you're looking at someone's issue of their work. So like the Gwen Stacy Spider-Man, or the first off, okay, the little Japanese girl. Christ, what was she from? Like the year. I think they said she was from the year like 31, 45 or some crazy shit.
Yeah, just future.
I was trying to pull up the cast.
Future.
What was her character? Oh, Penny Parker. Okay, she was maybe my favorite Spidey person because she completely bent my mind. Like, I love anime, so the fact that like everything involving her was actually drawn like an anime, but everything outside of her wasn't, was incredible. Because from that, I actually began to notice that each character was visually formatted in a very specific way. So like Nicolas Cage, it's Nicolas Cage Spider-Man. But like, so Nicolas Cage's Spider-Man Noir, like, his had like this weird like black and white look. And like the wind would be blowing sometimes for him for some bizarre reason. We go deeper, but yeah, each person was like, you know, distinctive unto themselves. You know what I'm saying? Thoughts on that?
Yeah, it was cool. I liked how stylized it was in general.
Yeah.
And then the fact that each character had their own style.
Yeah.
Stylized differently was cool.
I really like Gwen Stacy's world. It had like a
it was shiny.
It
had like a lux filter on it.
Yeah, which color show? Watercolor paintings or whatever. It kind of had that sort of color palette or visual look to it, I suppose. Kind of runny, like melting paint or something. It's kind of what her world looked like. So like with the Spider-Ham guy from John Mulaney, you know, his world was probably very much so like
John Mulaney was Spider-Ham.
Looney Tunes, yeah.
Really, I didn't notice.
That's why he was constantly cracking me up, because it was hilarious trying to imagine John shouting out these pig lines.
Maybe I would have liked him better if I known that.
Yeah.
He was probably my least favorite of the Spider people.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. He was too wonky for me.
I do wish they could have gave him a more... I don't know. They could have gave him more, I suppose, but
See,
I still liked him.
I had enough of Spider-Ham.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess he just like so in Infinity War, like Thanos throws a moon at the Avengers. I wish like Spider-Ham had something equivalent to that or something. I don't know.
He dropped an.
But I didn't have any issues with him though. I'm just saying. I wish he had more of a something. Just like a moment, you know. Like the moment where Thanos throws the moon, it was just so great because it was just like, what the fuck? Like it was just so out of nowhere. No one in the audience like saw that coming. Anyway, God, where was I? I lost track of my own mind. I'm gonna move on.
Stylization of specific.
But the animation is genuinely incredible. Like there's when Peter B. Parker, when he's sort of been electrocuted by Miles and he's sort of like passed out in the snow, if you pay attention carefully, it's like remarkable how solid and textured he looks, you know. You're really hyper aware of the just how great the CGI work is. And the lighting is also pretty incredible as well. But I guess to go a little bit deeper with the characters, I loved Miles, the main character. I don't know... I had zero issues with him. I really loved the intro to Miles, with him just a regular kid just jamming out to some music in a really silly way. I don't know that we could have introduced him any better. Like, I almost feel like he was introduced so well, because like from that moment I was just like, oh well, I've done that like a billion times. From that moment on to the point where he's like slapping stickers around the city, right? But then like he trips and like he falls in the street. That moment is one of my favorite transitions of the year, Because I was just like, whoa, even though the movie's only been on for like mere minutes, I really feel for this kid. Because when that happened, I was just like, oh no. Because my first thought when the cop came up, I was like, oh no, are they going to tap into like this whole like,
social issue.
Yeah, with police and justice. You know what I'm saying? I was like, oh fuck, are they going to tap into that right now? I'm like, good lord. I don't even know. I don't know if I'm ready, but it was just his dad. But
yeah, I knew his dad was a cop from the commercials, so
yeah,
I wasn't worried. I knew it was his dad probably, or at least someone that knew his dad.
I was like, oh no, is he about to get fucked with by police? That would have been dark, you know?
Yeah.
But you really feel for him when you. Well, I didn't know.
Yeah, he took a fucking header right there.
Just, but it's just a good example of like, I was like, even then I was like, I'm already beginning to feel for the character.
I liked him a lot too. I really liked Miles. I liked his design. His design was really good. And
yeah.
He was just like a really good character. Like he wasn't annoying like some main characters are, and he was well-rounded and just.
Yeah, he wasn't
just a
like
good character.
He wasn't like arrogant or like. I really loved how at the beginning of the film he almost seemed like aimless in his life. Like remember when he was like trying to fail that class.
Yeah, he didn't want to be in that school because like he didn't know anybody and everybody was a jerk and kind of stuck up.
And one of my favorite shots in the film actually is when the teacher gives him like an assignment, and they essentially tell him to like dream bigger. You know, like what do you really want to do, basically, you know. And there's a great moment where he sort of he doesn't know. You can tell that he doesn't know. He's kind of clueless where he wants his life to go. And he sort of like looks out the window into like downtown New York. It's just a great little moment. There's a bunch of moments like that where it's easy to relate to Miles. I mean, most people have substantially failed or are in a state where they're trying to overcome something that's holding them back. So, I don't know. I just like that he was just flawed. Like, the movie went out of its way to show you that he's really just a flawed person. I mean, it really takes him to, like, the third act of the movie before he even really gets a handle on all of his powers. Which I thought was interesting. Like, it wasn't, like, right off, like 3 minutes into the movie and, like, you know, hey, I've been Miles for the past 6 years, but let me take you back to the beginning. Like, it wasn't any of that, you know, nothing like that. But
he's not pathetic, though. Like, you feel for him.
Yeah.
He's not annoying. He's not whiny.
No.
You just see the events of his life, and you feel for him, because it's like everybody's felt like that. Everybody's felt like they didn't know what they wanted to do, or they were out of place. They didn't belong. You know, stress with the fam. All that.
Right.
Everybody's been there. Everyone can relate to that.
Oh my goodness. Okay, the powers, the way that they display the powers in this film is the best display of Spider-Man's powers that I've ever personally seen. For example, the way that they show his Spidey sense is the best that I've ever seen on screen. Like, my favorite part is when I can't remember. I think it's when Peter Parker and Green Goblin are fighting, right? So there's this moment where the Spidey sense it like kicks on, but there's like actual font that spells this out behind him if you look carefully. You actually hear a voice that's just like, "Look out!" And then out of nowhere the explosion comes. I've never seen the Spidey sense executed like that. It's almost as if to suggest like is the Spidey sense almost like a guardian angel in a way? Are there like supernatural properties to the spider sense? It's really interesting. Thoughts on that? Because ordinarily, like in the movies, it's really just
it's vague.
It's not that vivid usually.
Yeah, but I think that has to do with the fact that like animation lets you do a lot more stuff. Like,
True.
you have a lot more opportunity to do a lot of crazy stuff with animation.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you think of that scene in a live-action movie where it's just big words behind the person and it...
Yeah.
That actually might work, like a Scott Pilgrim type movie. That would work, I guess, if you're going for that. But in most standard action movies, it wouldn't work. Like if you went back to the Tobey Maguire movie, and just did that in like one of the, whatever scene where they're sitting in the coffee shop and like the car gets thrown through the window or whatever,
right, yeah.
and it's just like big words on the window that say "Look out."
True, but there was a voice though, so it makes you wonder like is there a voice each time? Is it actually more specific of an experience than someone on the outside?
I think the voice is meant to just be like the inside of your, like that voice in your head that tells you stuff.
So you don't think
like
it's
you
literal?
Ever have like one of those moments where you're just like, I don't even know how to explain it. It's just like that. Like there's a voice in the back of your head. It's not like a literal voice.
I'm saying it
but
could
it's
be
disembodied from you, and it's like, yo.
It could be though. Like if someone were to throw a knife at Spider-Man, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe the sense if it actually had a voice. Say it was just like.
But I think it's your own voice. I think it's the voice in your head.
It could be.
That's like.
It could be, for sure.
You know what I'm talking about?
I think so,
it's representative of the voice in the back of your head.
Yeah, like you're reading.
And it's just that he has heightened sentences, so.
It could definitely
it's
be
like
that, but. I love that scene. It gives me goosebumps. I've never seen Spidey. I also love that, like, when all the Spidey people around, they're, like, around each other, like, their Spidey senses, like, synchronize with one another. I thought that was really cool. And,
the only time that bothered me...
yeah.
was when they're all in the basement, at Aunt May's in the spider cave.
Yeah.
And they're standing there, and they've already been talking to each other about being spider people.
Mm-hmm.
And then their spider sense randomly goes off, and they're like, "You're like me." And it's like, this has been established.
I mean, in fairness, it could have... I mean, the Spidey sense is, like, true confirmation, though, to be fair. Because they are from
it's just the way they said it. Like, they were like... It was, like, the first time that Peter B. Parker and Miles met. And it was just, like... incredulous. They were just amazed, and it's like, but you knew that.
God, that when Miles is watching that giant Green Goblin fighting Peter Parker, and Peter Parker is just like screaming at him to don't turn on the Hadron Collider, basically, that just blew my mind. I was just like, wait, what's happening? And then when Miles sort of stumbles inside of the collider, you see how fucking massive it is. And then when it cuts on, I really love the part where Spider-Man's sort of getting dipped into the energy beams, and everything's just like glitching and tripping out, and he's like seeing inside of, I guess like a web of multiverses. I don't know what the fuck he was looking at, but
looking at Idrisil.
That just opening to this movie just bends my mind, you know?
Yeah, it was good. The whole movie's good.
It's so
it's just
good. It's so satisfying. That's what I was saying in Sam's video. He was like, describe the movie in one word, and I would just say satisfying, because Spider-Man 3
was not
to Spider-Man Homecoming.
I liked Homecoming.
I did too, but like...
I think that kid's a very good... I forget his name, but I think he's a very
Tomlin,
good...
Yeah, I do
very
too.
good Spider-Man.
But...
very good Peter Parker.
Like, at this point, it's like, I need that 10 out of 10 Spider-Man film. And I think Homecoming, they gave like an 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
Which, pretty solid, but everything beyond... further back, it's just garbage. Like, Spider-Man 3, I thought was garbage. Andrew Garfield movies were garbage. Even though Jamie Foxx's Electro is that just needs to be studied for the end of time. But other than that, they're just terrible. I forgot where I was going with that, but what else is there?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you think that Miles' dad knew that Uncle Aaron was that, I forget...
The Prowler?
The Prowler,
or whatever?
yeah.
No.
Specifically, do you think he knew he was the Prowler, or do you just think that he was suspected that he was up in some junk?
Like, are you saying, like, do you think the Spider-Man made it look like he's... Or do you, like... Are you asking, like, do you think...
No, do you think he previously knew? Like...
No.
And that's why he was estranged from him?
I don't think... I could be totally wrong. I don't think so.
Like, he obviously thought that he was, like, in a criminal element of some kind. And that's Because he was telling the kid, he's like, you're going to end up like your Uncle Aaron.
Yeah.
At the beginning.
I don't know.
Kind of led us to believe that he was like into gang stuff.
Yeah. I don't know, like, confidently, but...
Me neither. I'm just, it's interesting to think about, because he didn't seem surprised when he found him in the suit. He wasn't like, oh my god.
Well, because clearly they're gonna make a, they have to make a sequel to this. I think it's fair to say that they're gonna make a sequel.
And I hope it's as good as this one, because this was good.
So, there's no telling what details are in this film that'll echo in the next film. Like something like that potentially could. But the Prowler was so dope. And I love this shot. I forgot what the hell happened, but there was like a chase scene between Miles and the Prowler, and there's like a car crash, and Miles gets away. But then like you see the Prowler like on this on top of this building, and we're like zooming out, and just this shot. It was just so dope. It felt like something from like the Batman animated series. Like it was just so cool. And I don't even really care about that kind of character outside the context of this film, but I just thought he looked so cool with the claws and the use of purple, you know?
Yeah. He was a cool character, and I don't know what, like, I've never even heard of the Prowler. Like, I'm not big into, like, the Spider-Man comics, so I don't know if he's a big character in those, or if maybe he's new. I mean, I doubt it, but who knows? But he's cool.
Yeah, I thought the plot twist was handled well.
Yeah.
'Cause I didn't see it coming whatsoever.
I saw it coming a little bit leading up to it. Like,
really?
As soon as
I had no idea.
When he was in Aaron's apartment writing the note, I knew.
Well,
I think I started to suspect. I don't remember at what point I started to suspect, but it was before then.
Yeah.
A little bit. Like, I wasn't sure.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, once he was in the apartment, then I knew for sure that he was.
I was really floored. I didn't see it coming. I really loved the moment between Miles on the rooftop and his uncle's choking on me, so it reveals to his uncle that, like, hey, it's me. I thought that was done really well. Because there was an unpredictability there, and I wasn't really sure where they were going to bend the scene, you know, like which way it was going to go, so I thought that was really well done. I really loved the introduction of the uncle as well, because of the usage of Hypnotize from Biggie. I thought it was so dope, especially the way that they were sort of mixing the sound of the instrumental. That was just dope, because that's like one of my favorite songs all time, as it should be for all people. But what?
I thought all the music was really good. Really well placed.
Yeah.
Throughout the whole entire film, it was just good.
Yeah, I remember when I first saw it, I was like, I don't know if this movie's gonna be any good. And then like when it gets to the part where Peter Parker is like, all right, let's do this one more time, and he sort of like explains his life, and I was like head nodding to him narrating his life. What else can I say? The Spidey suits were out of control awesome.
Oh yeah.
I really like Miles, like his suit at the end with the black and the red. That's some dope shit. It's good. That's some dope shit. I don't know how that would work in a live action. It'd be interesting to see like what material they would try to use. But that was cool. It's weird that he can turn invisible and electrocute people.
Yeah, what the hell kind of spider can electrocute people?
I don't know. I just gotta say, yeah, I guess
that was bugging me out a little bit.
We don't know that much about Miles, as I probably should. I mean, I was aware of Miles, but not like hyper specifically before this movie. So that's weird. He can turn invisible.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Also, it's interesting that they went back to the web slingers, the manual ones.
Yeah.
Over like the Tobey Maguire movie where he just shot it out of his wrists. Mm-hmm. Because I think in the original comics he made the slingers, or his parents made them, or they made somebody made something. They were created. They weren't. Yeah. It's not part of his physiology. And so they went back to that, which I liked. but was also confused by it for a while. Like, I wasn't sure if they all used them or if some of them had web slinging abilities or what the deal was with that.
I also love the way... Well, just in general, I love the way that they sort of executed the... Like, his... I guess with Miles, when his powers start manifesting, I love how, like, it almost felt like a horror film was starting. Or, like they felt, like, violent, like, aggressive. Like, when his sticky stuff was starting to... when I guess he pulls out Gwen's hair and he goes to the office and his sticky abilities start like really like ramping up and getting more aggressive to the point where he's literally like on the outside of that building just like flailing around just the
security guard never found him.
No?
He never
Oh
did.
no, I guess not. But it's just so funny. He's outside the building and he's just like a goddamn circus act. He's just like spinning like around the building.
One of those little dudes you get in the quarter machines that you fling at the wall.
Yeah.
And they fall off.
Yeah.
And stick, and then they fall off and stick, and they just do that all the way down the floor.
Seriously, when that part was happening, my mind was just blown because I've never seen Spider-Man's powers used so vividly before. It was like, I mean, the speeds that he's going at and all that are insane, but that's honestly what it would be like if Spider-Man was real, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, I'd be flipping out.
And it leads to maybe the funniest part in the whole movie for me, when he's like flipping around. I think he's got like the pigeons on his hand, and he's like flipping around the building, and Gwen sees him, and she's just like, okay.
She's like, yeah, okay.
I feel like if tomorrow, if I had no idea, if I was just driving to work and I just saw like Spider-Man just like web sling by and like a giant green goblins just chasing them, I'd just be like, alright.
That's where we are now in the world.
Yeah.
This might as well happen.
Like Spider-Man's not real, but yeah, I'll take it. That's fine. What else can I say? I mean, soundtrack was perfect. All the main cast was awesome. The fact that Nicolas Cage...
And they gave him lines that were perfect for him.
What was that one line that we were cracking up about? What was that one? When they were all at Aunt May's house and Dr. Octavius shows up, right?
Fuck. Now I can't remember it. You don't choose... She's all like, get out of here if you're gonna fight. Can you take this outside? And he's like... You don't choose the ballroom. We don't choose the ballroom. We just dance. It was just iconic.
Yeah.
It's my favorite new way to say we're gonna fight wherever we fight.
Again, Nicolas Cage killing them.
Yeah.
Nicolas Cage was Spider-Man.
It was a perfect Nicolas Cage role with perfect Nicolas Cage lines, and he delivered them perfectly as Nicolas Cage.
We need a live action like Spider Noir
with Nicolas Cage.
I need that movie.
I want movies like that, like just ridiculous concepts like that to get the budgets they need to exist. Why can't we just have fun?
I don't know. Why can't there be more movies like this? I think this is the best animated movie of the year for me.
Oh yeah, personally. I don't even know what else came out that was animated. What was there?
I mean, the only other big one, like I loved Incredibles 2. That's only really
Incredibles
big
2
one,
was good,
which I love. But I think this is sort of
this tops Incredibles 2.
A few notches.
I mean, Incredibles 2 was amazing. Like when it came to animation.
Yeah.
The animation was so detailed and amazing.
Yeah.
But this one was just a powerhouse throughout the whole movie.
Well, I think it's also because I'm such a big fan of Spider-Man. And it's been such a long time since there was a truly great Spider-Man film. It's been way too long.
This one just had that freshness and that edge.
Yeah, the pacing was breakneck. There was a lot of surprisingly emotive sequences, especially between like Miles and his
deep
parents.
Emotions, dude. Like it got deep a good couple times. In like a good way, like it wasn't cheesy and overdone or anything. Oh my
god, I remembered. Okay, there's a scene when Miles and Peter Parker meet for the first time at the beginning of the film, before Peter dies, and Miles is like their spidey senses sort of connect, and Spider-Man's just like, oh, you're just like me, and Miles is like, I don't want to have anything to do with any of this, and Spider-Man was like, I don't think you have a choice, and for me. That was one of the most beautiful things I've heard so far this year, because really, I think that's really what true responsibility is. It's this great burden that you don't want, but you really don't have a say-so unless you just want to give up. So, I thought that was, I don't know, I just thought that was a really deep, easy moment to overlook.
Well, and I think also it kind of spoke to, like, he also had that same exact thing happen to him.
Yeah,
like,
or they all did.
Yeah, he's speaking from experience.
Yeah.
That, like, nah, you can't, I don't think you have a choice. And you could tell that he kind of, like, feels for the kid and he regrets that he doesn't have a choice, but he really doesn't.
Yeah, and like, sort of like when Miles loses Aaron, like, they bizarrely can all just connect just even on the base level of, like, Penny Parker, I forgot who she lost.
Her dad.
Or yeah, like her dad or something, right? And then Gwen lost Peter.
Which I don't know the specifics of. Was Peter a Spider-Man in her universe?
I don't think so, no.
He was just a
I think just a regular guy or something.
Okay.
But they all had loss like that, which I thought was interesting.
Who did Noir Spider-Man lose? Oh, his Uncle Benjamin. It was the same deal.
That's great. Benjamin. Fighting Nazis?
Yeah. Oh.
That sounds incredible.
Like, they should just make that movie with Nicolas Cage just because they can.
And he's going back with, like, a Rubik's Cube, like...
Fight Nazis. Did you see... Oh, I want that... Okay, at the end, during the credits, there's, like, a snapshot mural of each of the characters.
Yeah.
And in Noir Spider-Man's, he's just got the Rubik's Cube as his center, like, it's just like the Holy Grail. And he's just all powerful with the Rubik's Cube. I want that. I want that on, like, a wall in my house.
By the way, like, Peter Parker, I love the scene where Peter Parker dies. You see the world reacting to it.
Oh, yeah. That's good.
Because first off, not only did that, like, happen, but, like, it was unexpectedly, like, eerie in a way. It's glossed over so quickly that it's easy to forget that, like, I think, like, baseline Peter Parker died.
I think he does. I think there's a Death of Spider-Man comic.
Like, I think, like, the original Spider-Man, Peter Parker, died. For sure. I think so.
Yeah.
And what's even weirder is that it's the extension of, like, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man after, like, the first 3 films. Because there's a scene where he's mocking something that's very disliked from the 3rd movie, which is Tobey Maguire's, like, constant dancing in the 3rd film. Especially, like, when he's emo, for example.
The raindrops falling on my head scene.
Yeah, pretty much. So, yeah, the amount of detail in this movie is fucking crazy. Okay, again, there's like 5 different, like, origin stories. Like, straight up in the 2nd movie, you could probably maybe even just make a movie that's just a constant reshuffling of all 5 different vantage points or whatever, you know? It's kind of insane.
Do you think they'll do a multiverse movie? If they have a sequel, do you think they'll do the multiverse again? Or do you think it'll just focus on Miles?
I don't know. I think I've been trying to figure out, like, what's my favorite moment in the film. And still, for whatever crazy reason, my favorite moment so far is the last few seconds when that gorgeous song comes on again that we first met Miles with, the ironically.
Sunflower song?
And he's like, I guess he's about to go to sleep, but we notice without seeing, which I thought was clever, because your imagination has to interpret what's happening, which is a good technique. It's an old technique, but I thought it was dope that he's about to go sleep and the wormhole opens up, and we know for a fact that it's Gwen speaking to him, and for whatever reason she's like asking him to come join him, but you can tell that it's not like a threat situation or whatever. And that moment just gives me goosebumps, because not only is it obviously like hey, guess what? There's another movie coming, but like, it sort of shows that he's not like alone, and he's no longer aimless anymore. You know, he's no longer that kid who's like leaning back, like looking out at New York, sort of like wondering what he could be. Like he sort of has like a drive, a purpose, you know, a reason to live, if you will. So it's kind of my favorite moment so far. I don't know if you have a favorite moment from the film. The only other favorite moment is a close second, is when Miles is watching Peter Parker fighting Green Goblin, and Peter Parker screaming at him to not turn on the particle collider. I mean, you can't get much better than that. But yeah, I don't know if you have a favorite moment from the film.
I'd have to watch it again. Like, you've watched it a couple times, so you've been able to
three times
think about it.
Seen it 3 times.
I had a lot of moments that I really liked. I really liked like right before he gets bitten by the spider, and him and Aaron are down in the subway by the collider, and they're doing the painting, and they're just having that montage of Aaron helping him with his painting. And there's a lot of moments. The scene where the cops are chasing him, and he's got Peter B. Parker, and he's trying, like, he gets stuck to the train, and then they call it in on the radio, and they're like, he got a kid dressed like Spider-Man, carrying a dead hobo, what appears to be a hobo corpse, tied to a train or whatever.
Also, I don't know if you picked up on this, but I love that Peter B. Parker, for some reason, his I don't know if I still got the actor, Jake Johnson. He did a brilliant job. Goddamn. By the way, Chris Pine, voice like Spider-Man, I think. What? But anyways, that's confusing. Also, Zoe Kravitz as Mary Jane. What? Anyways, but
did Chris Pine voice the original Spider-Man?
Maybe, I suppose. But at least the Peter B. Parker, for whatever reason, like, vocally, he kind of just gave me like Ash from Evil Dead vibes, like personality wise.
Yeah,
he reminded me of Ash.
It's the exhausted, dead inside,
sardonic, the sort of reluctant to help. You know, doesn't want to help but has to. So it's just like, fuck.
He's good, but he's given up, but he's still gotta help.
Which again, the way they show the powers is amazing. Like the sequence where it's Peter, and it's nighttime, and they're on the side of a building, and Miles is like, I need your help, and Peter's just like, no, you're just a bitch ass kid. There's one brilliant moment where it's like they're both like moving down the face of a building, you know, but then like Miles says something that like catches Peter's attention. So when Peter turns around, Peter starts like walking like vertically up the side of the building, you know what I'm saying? And he should be falling, but like, you know, his feet are sticking. But like, I just loved how I was just like, whoa, I've never seen like a moment where Spider-Man used his powers in this context. I just thought that was just trippy. Because I was like, I mean, yeah, I know he can do that, but I just never visually seen.
They like did it really well too, like with the angles, and then they shifted, and it was really cool.
Like when like Miles he could just like dead stop walking, like like on the face of the building, his feet sticking perfectly, and they're just having a casual conversation like that, and even like the camera.
Do you know how much how much muscleage it would take? Muscleage is a word. It would take to just stand straight up. Like, there's still gravity. Like, your body just wants to do this.
Yeah.
And you'd have to, like, the abs, bro.
Yeah. Abs. Yeah. I just loved how they subtly used Spider-Man's powers in ways that we don't visually normally see.
But it's like they, like, are completely zero G, which isn't the case. Like when you actually think about it, like they're expanding some muscle and shit.
Yeah, they're not even like bending to gravity.
Yeah.
At all. Not one bit.
Just toned. How is he flabby?
I don't know.
He can do this, but he's flabby.
I don't know. Superhuman eating, maybe. But I can't believe Penny was able to fix that little hard drive as well. I loved. I swear to God.
I think she just made a new one.
I guess I don't know, but I would literally. I'm totally down to direct the first live action movie for Penny Parker because I loved her character. Like, especially, like, when she'll be doing, like, these complex tasks or she'll be fighting, but she'll just be, like, eating, like, candy or something. You're just like, what? You know? Or, like, when the robot dies and she has, like, a surprisingly kind of emotive moment. And you kind of feel for her.
Well, I think, for one, she's attached to the robot, but I think it was also her father built it, and her father died. I think it's her father's robot.
Oh. I wanted to know so much more about her character. Like, I would tell a whole movie with her character. Because her world seemed almost kind of like Blade Runner-ish in a way. So I wish I knew more.
Lots of tech going on.
You think we'll see more from these characters?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I mean,
these other Spider people. Obviously, we'll see more from Gwen, obviously. But, you know.
I don't know.
That would be kind of cool. I don't know. Closing thoughts. I feel like we've covered most of the movie.
I like his dynamic with his dad. Like
Which one?
It's a common.
Oh, Miles.
It's a common dynamic, but they did it in a really good way that was really like well thought out. And
it felt touching.
It was. They dealt really well with the emotion and stuff. And like the emotional tone of the whole movie is like really good and on point.
He felt like a real dad.
Yeah.
You know? Like, maybe a little bit too overbearing, a little bit too loving, a little bit too strict. Not always likable. And I mean, like, he just felt like a real dad.
That's the thing. Like, they all felt like real people.
Yeah.
None of them felt fake.
No.
They all had real goals and real,
they didn't make a lot of obvious choices. Like, for example, when we last see Gwen and Miles, it could have been very easy to, let's
force a romance.
Let's make them kiss in this moment or whatever.
Okay.
And while a romance is probably fair to say probably coming, but at least I like that wasn't just their first thought.
They didn't force it.
No.
Like, to immediately happen.
No, like when he goes in, especially that he, goes in and it was like, are we friends, I just thought that was cool. It felt honest.
Yeah.
Especially for that age.
I love when he did the hey to Wilson Fisk.
I love how they're all fighting in this room and like other dimensions are like vomiting into the room.
That whole scene was really cool.
Yeah. And Kingpin is just like this giant building-sized man. Or he's just like the size of a car, basically.
He's gigantic. What the heck?
He's just this car-sized man.
Threw me off, actually, how big he is.
He killed Spider-Man.
He did. He just punched him. He just gorilla slammed him. He just gotta ward him to death.
But yeah, I feel like we've kind of dissected most of the movie. Definitely talked about all the cool moments. Had to have. Yeah. But, I will say, there is one moment that I think is Sam's favorite moments when, so he breaks out of the chair, and he's falling down the face of a building.
Oh, that is a good moment.
And, like the clothes are rippling, and right before he hits the ground, he sort of, like, spins away in a really dramatic way, but it's done in a way that's just like, God damn, that was dope. That was dope.
Just
that was
pure
Spider-Man.
Acceptance. Yeah, it was very Spider-Man.
That was like...
It's like a euphoric joy they experience while they're flying through the air and shit.
Yeah.
Where they just trust completely and implicitly in their abilities.
Yeah.
And they just do it. It's just perfect execution every time.
And when Peter was saying, he's teaching him to web sling, and it's like, double tap to release, I think it is. I was like literally trying to imagine like what the physicality must sort of what that must make me feel like.
Yeah.
You know? And that's just crazy. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I have anything else much more to add. I mean, it's a 10 out of 10 for me. Again, it's the best Spider-Man film that I've ever personally seen, which is not something I ever thought I would say. Jesus Christ. But yeah, I just kind of had zero issues with the movie. It's a well thought out movie. I tried to find, like, I couldn't really find anything hugely wrong with it.
Oh, no.
You know?
No.
It was just handled so well. I'm almost in shock. It's like, where'd this movie come from? Like, when did they start working on this movie? Like, how long did it take them to make this movie? Every frame is like a painting. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I do.
I don't know. What would you rate it?
I'd give it at least a 9 out of 10.
Yeah?
At least. Like, I'd like to watch it again.
Yeah.
Just so I could take it all in with, like, you know how it is. You watch a movie the first time and it's all kind of hectic, and then you watch it again knowing what's going to happen, and you get to enjoy it in a different way.
Yeah.
So I'd like to watch it again, but yeah, 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10. It was a great movie. It was very well executed, very well written.
Got that scene where, like, he pulls out Gwen's hair and he's flopping around so much that he starts flopping around that building. It's seriously, when I first saw that, my jaw was on the floor, you know? Because I was just like, that's Spider-Man, you know? Yeah, I think we're probably about to wrap this up because I need to get some sleep.
Go get some sleep. I don't need sleep.
And
I gotta sleep all day tomorrow so that I can go to work.
Oscar Isaac is in this bitch?
Who that? Who's Oscar Isaac? I might know who he is. Can I see a picture? Poe Dameron?
Yeah.
Okay.
Who the fuck did he play? Hold on a second.
I don't know. Maybe,
Was he a Spider-Man?
I mean, there's only a limited amount of Spider-Men, though.
So Jake Johnson was Peter B. Parker. He did a great job. Hailee Steinfeld was Gwen Stacy. What the fuck? That was her? Didn't sound like it, but alright.
Well, sure. I didn't notice anyone was anyone in this
Chris
movie.
Pine was Peter Parker? Really?
See?
That's so weird. I would have never thought... I guess so. Weird. I mean, the Jake Johnson being Peter B. Parker, I can actually see that, you know. I could, like, imagine his face, you know, when he's in the vocal booth. But, yeah, there were some surprise ones. Like, Zoe Kravitz as Mary Jane? What? Couldn't even tell. Anyway,
I couldn't pick out any of the voices.
No?
Like, any of the people, like, I know John Mulaney and I know Liev Schreiber and I didn't pick them out at all, but maybe I was just taking in the movie too hard. Like, I recognized Nicolas Cage, but I knew Nicolas Cage was in it. I would have recognized him because it's Nicolas Cage, but...
Right.
Like, I didn't recognize anybody else for some reason.
This might be my favorite use of Hypnotized by Biggie that I've seen in a long time, by the way. Because when I first noticed it, I was just like, what? But, yeah, I think that's it, okay? I think we're done, alright? I don't know how long this was, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. What did you think about Spider-Man to the Spideyverse?
It was long.
Did you love the movie? Let us know. Should there be a second one? I think there should.
I do too. As long as they do it at least try to do it as well as this one.
We need a great Spider-Man trilogy, okay? And
keep that animation.
And if it has to be animated, I guess so be it. That's not what I was looking for, but if they're anything like this, I'll take it. Fuck it. I'll take it. Ordinarily, I'd just be like, live action or kill yourself. But in this instance, fuck it, I'll take it. All right.
It's good.
Alright. I'm done. Alright. We're done. Okay, the review's over with. Alright. What'd you think about it?
My basement.
Let us know your thoughts down below. Bitches.